Seguinte, pessoal, mais uma match do Primal Down 1v1, América do Norte, Flower versus MagD, dois players grandíssimos da região, com os seus respectivos Legends aí conhecidos por, né? E bora lá, mano. MagD não, Flower trazendo novamente mais um set diferente de skin, né? Ele acho que é o player que eu mais vejo que muda de set. A maioria do pessoal tem uma skin e fica sempre com aquela skin. Mas enfim. E o MagD não é a primeira vez que ele traz Preta não Petra em campeonato, né? Ele é um player muito bom com a arma, muito bom de orb também. Com a Galtas, eu anteriormente ia falar, falei errado, desculpa. Muito bom com a Galtas, muito bom com a orb. Enfim, e ele também é um player que joga bastante de Val. Eu não sei exatamente o porquê que ele tá preferindo trazer Petra, né? Mas desculpa, minha dicção não tá funcionando hoje. Enfim, pessoal, bora lá. Não esquece que eu criei um novo canal pra trazer vídeo pra vocês, tá no comentário fixado. E eu também tô criando react pra vocês de uns vídeos muito bons lá no Instagram, TikTok e no YouTube também, tá? Vai ter tudo no comentário fixado, é nóis. Não esquece de seguir o tio Lynx, hein? É nóis.
Darn good. The Sarah, though, comes through. Got a minute in, little more than that, but still, MagD finds the first stock. And yeah, no, again, like I keep saying, I'm really impressed you're able to call it the Petra pick because the orb is really what's doing MagD the best work right now. But right now, he's over on the gauntlets. And MagD's gauntlets are also kind of infamous because not only in doubles, but also in singles, MagD's Val is really wildly successful. And that is half of Val. It is Gauntlet. So MagD, I feel like sometimes can have some pretty underrated gauntlets. Right now, trying to play them very carefully, but stop share. Is it ever gonna fail? Flower comes through. The tried and true. Stock's even 2 minutes in.
You know, I'm constantly seeing myself in a scene in The Matrix. You know, he's starting to believe. I'm seeing MagD come back into form right now with the gauntlets, with the orb play, realizing, you know what, I can't do the same things I could on sword, but a lot of the moves are very similar. I won't spend too much time on that right now, but MagD showing off the strength of the orb as a way to kind of cover landings and cover horizontal space, which is something that Downlight, for example, on...
Oxi! Tá, não entendi o que aconteceu, mas estamos voltando aqui.
Flower able to even out stocks.
Sem o som do jogo, mas tudo bem, aconteceu. Alguém apertou alguma coisa lá. Aí voltou.
MagD playing very floaty, so the hammer D-Sig is going to be able to cover his head and make it so that MagD's difficult space landing, difficult time getting into Flower's personal space, but still MagD's able to kind of dance his way past that, able to build up pretty slight damage lead, and with the game moving at this pace, any lead is actually a lot bigger than you might think it is, because then it can allow you to get away with some pretty interesting offstage, and it can allow you to get away with some pretty interesting offstage interactions. Yumiko's a better character for offstage, but is MagD just a better player for offstage? Because so far, MagD is really looking to toss Flower offstage and then close out a ledge guard. But now that we have Orb, the Sidelight Sarah is going to come through. You don't have to really do that.
Bom, pena que a gente perdeu um pedacinho ali do que aconteceu, né, mano? Meio, enfim, triste. Mas tudo bem, vamos continuar. Bora lá, sem mudanças, pique sem mudanças de mapa, let's go.
Petra together is what you need to start winning, and if MagD can make this upset happen on the Petra, I'm going to be a very happy commentator going into this top 6, or top 8.
Way off.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you don't realize that PJ, I mean, some backstory for me, MagD's the reason I'm into competitive Brawlhalla at all. So this is my favorite player by far, so it's really cool to see him really click with a legend on the orb. PJ, the number 1 MagD fan in the world, so really happy to see this here. And Flower, I mean, obviously Flower is a great player and somebody that I have a lot of respect for, but right now I just feel the momentum surging for MagD, fighting back with the gauntlets here. Flower has that damage lead though, so it's looking pretty good for himself, and gets this, not quite the stock, but a lot of damage with that.
Sidelight, Flower tries to jump above it. I would be a little curious hovering over on top of what is it, above Petra, because both of those N-Sigs, not half bad anti-airs, but a Nair could be even better to cover your head, and also along with a D-Sig. both these players. I mean, the fact that they're playing so floaty is so strange because both of them have some very good anti-airs, some very good touch me nots, some very good attacks that can aim upwards and really last a long time. But that stock from MegD is not going to last much longer anyways. Flower, very slight stock lead, trying to keep control of the stage. MegD's respecting it. You can see how far that unarmed nair sends. The gauntlets ends up whiffing an N-Light. D-Sig comes through. Flower
Nossa
hits
senhora.
the GCN Sig, and the Sair, the Sair leads to a chase dodge and makes it back. That was almost miraculous. That was very smart decision making from Flower to make it back, put up a little bit more damage, put on a lot of pressure on MegD, and make that damage lead just a little bit better so that when they do respond on this second stock, there's a bit of extra credit left from you from the previous one.
Yeah, you're definitely happy to do that. Yumiko is definitely a legend that is kind of like the economy of the legend is definitely based off of just being able to get extra credit and get so much damage output, leading to very consistent and safe KO options later on in the stock. But you need to get the damage to get there. Right now, Flower kind of faltering a little bit in the defensive game, but getting the damage, getting the trades out, so the downer comes out. Nice little damage there, but nonetheless, avoiding that downlight, going for more down sigs. MegD interrupts the down sig with a downlight and actually using the horizontal momentum to go underneath that signature as well. Flower setting up the down sig once again. Another down sig at the wall. Can I see another one? Do we get a third? No, we don't. Flower respects MegD, gives MegD the space back to get to center stage. The end light comes out for MegD, but Flower now in a bad spot, having to land in the face of MegD, avoids the side light into the recovery, and another down stick comes out. The weapon toss from Flower. MegD having to scramble to find a landing or really any connection, but the damage has evened up, but it feels like Flower is still somehow in control, even after MegD has won 6 of the 7 last neutral interactions. The weapon toss to break the mold. MegD doesn't have a weapon to pick up. Flower closing in on the distance. Can you get the nair? Yes, you can. Flower taking the stock there. MegD forced on his last. This might be the game for Flower to get back into the set.
Once again, Flower, very slight damage lead, making good use of the N-Sigs, but MegD might be able to stop the bleeding soon. Flower respecting MegD's stage control very nicely. Is that recovery an overcommit from MegD? No, it's not. That dare could be a very nice, perfect amount of commit for Flower as we have a bit more damage coming out. Flower is about to overlap
Deus!
MegD in the damage.
O que foi esse final, mano? Ele simplesmente dominou o bagulho.
We have an even set here, folks. On the hammer, like, yeah, maybe a straight.
Let's go. Lembrando que é MD5, tá, pessoal? Então, quem ganhar as 3 primeiras partidas, GG.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm hoping to see, both of these players kind of take what they got from game 1 and 2, and we get like a much closer match in this game number 3 here, because Flower just completely dominated the last game. MegD getting completely stuffed out by these down 6 from Flower, and Flower definitely leading into the hammer. I think Yumiko, a legend that is such a strong pick right now with the hammer damage buffs, Bo being in a great spot as well. MegD fights back on the more traditional gauntlet or pick on the Petra, gets a nair there, punishes Flower for jumping in MegD's space, and MegD kind of leading into the thing that made MegD kind of heavy, or not heavy in our hearts, but constantly thought about in the meta is, getting the 1 and 2 hits, but resetting back, using that movement to get neutral interactions and winning a lot more neutral interactions, using that movement, not getting big strings, but getting damage nonetheless. And now we got an even game, avoiding the side stick there. Downlight into the downer, waits out a dodge, gets the recovery anyway, and MegD now has Flower in a pretty bad spot. Flower fights back with a juicy downlight to punish the sidelight, but MegD scoops the wall with the sidelight into recovery, and MegD takes the first stock of game number 3.
Dancing around Fortress Alliance. MegD is actually playing pretty confident and pretty bold and aggressive, considering the fact that he could be knocked out of this first stock any second now. Flower's having a hard time landing these hits with Bo. Can only get a weapon. Wow, that would make a great screenshot. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna clip that. That is a very nice screenshot of all the particle effects clashing. But still, MegD getting some very nice extra credit. Flower's having a very tough time finding this knockout, especially considering the fact that he had to make some time work on Bo. And even though he's able to find the stock with Hammer, it took him quite a minute to find it. And MegD was able to get a decent bit of extra credit. And when the game is moving at this pace, any bit of extra credit, it means so much more than you might think it does. And that first game was really able to prove it to us. Flower is now finally able to make the Bow count for something, as we have a bit juggles coming through. Maybe Flower's able to damage out the even out the damage lead, a few more nairs. These nairs are working fantastic. What is the range on that nair? That Some of these last few Nairs have hit much farther than it looked like they were supposed to. And he's playing almost his entire stock off a Nair alone until a hammer comes in. D-light side air, as per usual. A few D-sigs. Flower chooses not to weapon starve, but chooses to continue to harass Meg D to get that Nair. Now weapon starves for the bow. That was very nicely done.
Yeah, that was a very tough kind of showing there for Meg D, who is really struggling versus that bow Nair, and because of that, Flower able to build so much momentum into this game. Meg D dash jump, side light, goes for the Nair there, doesn't find it. Flower with the weapon toss, picks up the weapon once again. This game feeling basically all but over for the favor of Flower, but Meg D gonna try his best to utilize this soft platform movement to get some space. Nice Nair there, gets the jungle going. Nair waits for it, goes for the end light, doesn't find it. Another end light from Flower though. Keeps Meg D in the air. Meg D fighting back with that ground pound on the gauntlet, charging up that ground pound once again, didn't find it. Flower dancing around Meg D, using the movement against him, playing really, really well, getting those Nairs, the get off me tools, the stack option, and Orb is definitely going to struggle versus that option, where Flower is able to cover those landings by stacking on top of Meg D. Orb not really having great options, only basically end light to get away from that Nair. It's looking tough.
Quick little unarmed Nair. Meg D respects the D-Sig. Flower just dash dance in the middle of the stage, just hopping around, having a grand old time, but somehow gets sent out of that stacked interaction. What? I lost track of what happened there. I'd like a clash and a weapon throw and a what and a scoop and
GG, mano, jogou muito.
Flower 2-1. That was...
With a random hammer move and
Vamos lá, bora continuar. Próxima partida.
Yeah, Yumiko chip damage. It hurts on another level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meg D's gonna have to try and get hit by less chip damage and stepping up pedal to the metal on these gauntlets. Not a bad way of doing it. Yet to be touched on his first stock. 15 seconds in, or really 20 seconds in, only does Flower find the first hit, and that's an unarmed Nair. Meg D still just tossing this little Yumiko around. D-Sig into Nair doesn't find his connection. Orb Sair could give Meg D a very nice stock lead. Now off stage, Flower can't make it back. 30 seconds in, Meg D grabs a hefty stock lead, making this game 5 look so much more believable. PJ, I know you and your fellow Meg D believers are having a pretty good time eyeing down this game 4 right here.
Yeah, I would say that the name of the game is to like really lean into the Orb. Like Orb is just the weapon that will find a lot of these.
It's a very weapon.
Really tricky neutral interactions. Having a disjointed move like Orb, essentially a projectile in a lot of moves, like kind of what you want to be at. But a downlight sider will make it much harder for Meg D to make it back. Tries to scoop up there, goes for the side tick as well, but Meg D jumps over back to the stage, avoids the wall. Sidelight. Nair doesn't find it. Flower looking for that juggle, looking for that hit onto that soft platform, but can't find it yet. Meg D will continue to be as elusive as he can be. Endlight and a side sig. Meg D not respecting that space. Slide charge into the down sig, but gets hit with a weapon toss, as well as the unarmed recovery to give Meg D a chance to get back to the stage, but can't make it there. Gets the Nair. That's going to be Flower taking that stock.
Flower, stock, or damage difference. We've seen him come back from this. I think we've even seen him come back from worse. But still, Meg D is really on it. This is some of the better Meg D gameplay we've seen in recent months. Really, Meg D is on an upswing, so this could be looking very, very good for this long-term veteran here and all of his fans in the crowd right now. As the Sair gonna put Flower's second stock in jeopardy, gonna put his life at risk. That side light doesn't come through. Instead of Flower's own side light, he's able to follow that up into a Nair. A lot of dashes, a lot of quick little whiffed Nairs. Flower hits out a Nair that doesn't whiff. The D-Sig, Meg D dashes in and gets caught by it. Reads the spacing wrong, but is still able to dash in for a sidelight side air. Meg D just barely a stock up. All Flower needs is just a few more hits or one good off-stage interaction. Even out the game, make this game 5 a lot less believable, but Meg D is going to make it a lot more believable. Weapon starving and off-stage unarmed Flower twice now. Cycling gauntlets into Orb, into gauntlets, into Orb again. Flower now shifted into the orange, just now picks up bow. He has to stop the bleeding or else we go to a game 5 here. The side sig is a good way to start it.
Flower fighting back that side signature. I mean, the second side signature attempted from Flower, the second one fighting, it's Margot and Megdi. Megdi not really addressing those burst options you're not quite expecting versus Bow and Hammer. Oh, and Megdi getting hit with a down air into the recovery. That's a lot of damage, especially with Hammer getting buffed in the damage department. Goes for the short Yuken, doesn't find the KO though. Sidelight, looking for that last hit. Flower fights back unarmed, picks up a bow once again, goes for the nair there. Megdi fights back with a side air. Flower having to recover back to the wall. Megdi not even going for a downer. Does go for the downer a little bit too late though. Gives time for Flower to get back to center stage. The side air does clip and that will KO. And
Game 5, galera.
Demon
Island, let's go.
Scenery. Very, very fitting for this last game in the set here. Flower the first one to grab bow. Megdi picks up gauntlets, and we're on our way, folks.
All right, here we go back on the Demon Island. I mean, it's the stage that we started this set on. Both of them rocking the Demon Island color scheme as well. Kind of blending in as much as you can. Megdi getting a nice little open up there with the end light into the side light, some extra damage there.
Hide under the tree, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's the place to be, and exactly where both of these players want to situate themselves anyway. Holding that center stage versus your opponent, not allowing Flower to get the signatures going, and not allowing Megdi to get that very slow, methodical gameplay going on the gauntlets. Whip punishes the down sig there, and if you didn't know, you can sidelight that on gauntlets. If you sidelight so that it starts up underneath the blue little wisps and then gets the hit, it's a really good punish option there.
Megdi's movement is actually looking pretty good in this last stock, and it's really starting to convert a lot more of these attacks. Just like you said, big conversion really starting to extend a lot more. Is very rarely starting to get just one-off hits a bit less often, and really starting to turn them into 2 or 3. That pivot there would have been quite a way to end up a stock. Megdi might get punished for using his dodge during a GC, but never mind, another gravity cancel. Gonna let Megdi grab the first stock a little less than a minute and a half in. Flower is now 1 stock down on Demon Island, but could very easily use the stage to his advantage. Nair is not the best way to use your stage. You gotta find like a dare or a hammer recovery or something.
Ooh, I don't like
that bow D-Sig is not even really gonna be enough, Flower. You gotta find something a little bit more to stop the extra credit, because now Megdi is really starting to step up the pace of the game, and a confident, aggressive Megdi is not the kind of person you want to be fighting, but never mind, maybe a little too overconfident. Flower doesn't even get the credit for that knockout. A complete oversight and overcommit gives Flower the confidence to maybe go a little bit more ham in this second stock game right here.
The damage shift already from just a slight misplay from Megdi leads Flower now back into a very winnable position here, getting right back into this game. Crossing center stage. They're both looking for that hit down light in the cider. That sends at a terrible angle. Flower looking to tap in that KO with any means necessary. Going for the down sig there. Megdi jumps back to the stage, avoids it. Flower scooping with these down airs. That's the D-Light, weapon toss GC D-Light unarmed into the nair. He doesn't KO quite yet, or maybe that was down air. Nonetheless, Megdi cornered to Flower. Very big opportunity for every orb player. The end light sends the other way as well. Goes for the dash jump downer into the wall, but the scoop will disarm Megdi. Flower with an opportunity to seize this game back off the back of Megdi misplaying an edge guard sequence. Weapon toss there, going for a big hit, just needs the recovery, doesn't find it there. Flower encroaching forward after the D-Light doesn't, or D-Sig doesn't hit anything, and the walk-up end light will close out that stock. Scary, scary game now.
This is part of the reason I love watching Flower and his gameplay so much, is because he's such a tricky little guy. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm that bad at the game, but it's so hard to guess what he's going to do next. He's so unpredictable. He's so tricky. Megdi, you see, a lot of the time is able to, has the patience and the mental willpower to wait out a sidelight side air, able to close out stocks on orb. But Flower is constantly going for these weird little cross-ups, and is always breaking ankles, and is always able to do something new, and is always able to throw out an attack you haven't seen yet in the set. But Megdi, tried and true orb Ser, it's yet to fail him. He is yet to find, he's really yet to struggle that hard against a stock, especially when you got a tool like orb on the side of your corner. But still, Megdi low on damage. Can Flower close this out? A tricky, slippery little guy such as himself, or can Megdi clutch it out?
I'm on the edge of my seat right now, Graffiti. I can feel Megdi just going for that one read. Flower with weapon toss downwards. Nice weapon toss for Megdi to avoid. Avoids the nair, the game winner. The Hail Mary. A side air comes out
Oh,
there, gets the down line,
nossa
gets the
senhora.
dodge out as well, gets the recovery, it disarms Flower. Meg D playing flawlessly. He doesn't pick up the weapon. He picked up the wrong weapon. He wanted to pick up the orb and side leg, but he didn't pick it up. GC downline unarmed now. Meg D, the one weapon star Flower, throws the bow away, picks up the bow again.
Nossa senhora.
It's one side leg, it's one side leg, it's one side air. The Nair
Jesus.
Flower, though, it's
hammer now!
Downline. All right, here we
Morreu.
go. That's the scoop.
Caraca. Gameplays insanas, gameplays insanas. É isso, galera. Não se esquece de ver o comentário fixado, tá bom? Um beijo. Mua. Até o próximo vídeo.